Okay. Hi, this is Tony Budak from Timebank Mahoning Watershed, and I am having a discussion about Timebank material property swap physical locations, otherwise known as Timebank stores. And with me is Kathy Sipple, and it's just us two, so we'll just kick this can down the road. I don't know, is this recording the video or the screen, the share screen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So the screen up here, this is the Dane County Timebank site, and it's one of their projects they have there is Maxine's Timebank store. And I believe this is probably the second store in the United States. Stephanie went to New Orleans years ago and visited a Timebank store in New Orleans and came back to Madison, Wisconsin, and somehow got this store started. What the store here is, I've been in this store. It's in a low-income metropolitan housing complex. It's an apartment. It's on the first floor. The apartment is right at the front door of the complex, and it's a location for people in the, the high rise. I don't know how many floors it is, 4, 5, 6, 10 floors, and the other buildings nearby. It's a location for them to gather around and have a place to exchange, work together, and to do time banking. This store was also then became the model for the Kent Timebank store, which is called, let me see if I can find it. No, that's not. The Kent is one of the satellite time banks in the Crooked River Alliance of Time Banks. And they call their exchange store Our Stuff, HOUR, and they took the guidelines that Stephanie uses at the Dane County and they really expanded them, which I'll show you in a moment, and operated a physical location. Now, where is it at? No. So I thought I had it. Okay, but I'm going to have to do a little search because
that's okay. Take your time.
OHOUR EXCHAN. Anyhow, oh dear. Oh, hang on. I can't talk and do this at the same time. There was a place in Kent that allowed them to use a small, about, I don't know, 20 feet by 12 feet storefront. And that's where the Kent Timebank store originally started before the system turned into the Crooked River. And Abby took the ideas that Stephanie used and wrote up a wonderful write-up about time banking through a store, which I've sent to Kathy and got all the details. Anyhow,
Tony, you can just, you don't have to be on a website in order to share screen. Like if you just want to go to that email that you sent me and open the resource, that like anything you've got on screen can be shared. So is that okay?
Yeah, here it is. That's a great idea. There it is. I couldn't find it. Okay, well, this is the front of the Timebank store in Kent. So you can see the double doors and the yellow doors. They had a nice walk-up area about 20 feet off the street. There was close by parking, and it was rent-free. Oh, by the way, the Maxine store in Madison is also rent-free. The city government of Madison allows the residents of that housing complex to use that apartment on the first floor in Madison for free. Now, all this information, let me, put a proviso in here. This is probably over a period of 10 years. So, things changed. Just as I recall, as it was 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So it's probably not, maybe they're still rent-free in Madison. Maybe they're paying for it. I don't know what's going on now in the Maxine location. In the Kent location, it was rent-free, and it opened for over a year. And then the owner of the property wanted to charge rent. And of course, the Kent Timebank has no funding. It's totally volunteer. They had to shut down. And when they shut down, Abby and her crew decided to put it online. And then when they put it online, that's where you get the Crooked River Alliance, the Our Stuff Time Exchange. Now here, it's done on a Facebook page, I think. So this is the sort of narrative that happened in Timebank here in Youngstown. We started off, we had a store. Here's some pictures of our store. This is on the front window. This is inside on a counter. This is probably the second day we had the store, just a few items in the store. After a month or two, I mean, that place is filled up with stuff. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff in there. This is the front window. This is the map. I had to throw, because we got rent-free two rooms. They were probably 20 by 20 back here at number 3. So you had to go down this alley. This was a main street in this town called Girard. You go down the alley, and well, the owner here, this guy was renting this whole storefront, which went all the way back to the alley. And he was a Timebank member, and he's an inventor, and he did his projects and business enterprise experiments in here, but it was too much space. He says, you guys can have the back 2 rooms. So, but the only way to get to the back 2 rooms, you have to go down the alley. But there's a big parking lot back here. And anyhow, that's where we were. And that's the back alley. And you can see the store. You had to go through this door to get to the Timebank store. Okay, then the owner raised the rent for my Timebank member. Was using the front of the facility. He couldn't pay the rent as it was moving up, so we had to shut down, and we had to close up shop. And what we did was then we opened up online using a model that Abby uses over in now the Crooked River. And we call our website the Time Exchange. And so we're online. I hardly get any traffic online. You might as well, it's no traffic. Okay, I'm the only one and maybe one other person. And I don't push it because it's consuming a lot of time. I don't have the time to be pushing this and marketing it and doing what I should be doing. But I have it up in case some of the members want to use it. What's happening on Facebook is that there are so many buy and sell and exchange websites on Facebook that people can exchange and do what they want to do. There's a free exchange, there's a recycle, there's buy and sell. So it's just a lot of competition for web traffic on Facebook. However, I'm going to show you, this is the rules. I want to talk about when we did have a physical location, it was terrific. Capital T, capital E, you know, it was fantastic because I can't tell you how the energy level, the relationship building, the curiosity for getting the general public. Where's the store at? I want to go visit it. They come to the store, they hang out at the store, they talk and kibitz, they have sandwiches and donuts at the store. It's amazing what a store can do for the energy level of a time bank. It's a wonderful thing. I had no problem asking people to be volunteers. Oh, I'll be happy to hang out. I can bring my stuff down there, and I could be, a clerk, or I could help clean up. It was just a great thing having the store. And so the guidelines, that Abby wrote, I just changed it from calling it the Kent store to the Gerard We Share. And here you go. This is the third iteration of guidelines, gone through 3 time banks. And I'm sure it's been passed on to, I know it's been passed on to media, and can't remember her name. She's used this as a, as an overview to set up her store. So all the details are here. This is a great set of rules and policies to use.
Yeah, the other thing, can I just butt in for 1 second? The other thing I could see about having a store is then it doesn't rest with one individual time bank member to kind of house the stuff if people want to donate. Because that's what's been happening with me is, people will say, hey, I've got all this stuff. Can I drop it by? And I live in a pretty regular sized ranch house without a basement. I don't have a barn, but I'm saying yes because I want to infuse, value into our membership, but it's like, that's not going to be very sustainable either. So I really appreciate you telling me, where you've been so I can hopefully look ahead and figure out something that will be sustainable, and then you may be getting to this, but I guess I'm always trying to hear where others have been and then, look for that gap. Like, has this been tried? Has this been tried? As you said, there is a lot of competition, both online and offline. Right in my town, I can think of several resale places, thrift stores, things like that. I kind of wondered about approaching one of them that needed more help with, volunteer stuff to see if they would give us like a little room within their big showroom in return for membership. And if they're serving underserved people, like by us being there and saying, hey, you've already got the traffic with people that need help. Like, could we kind of sell them on Timebank membership? And that would be another tool in their toolbox, kind of like tagging along a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I did that. That's a great idea. And
okay.
I went to the Goodwill. They have a big, it's like a box store. There's a huge Goodwill here. I talked to the manager, the director. No, it's too confusing. We're too busy. I have to retrain staff. I got those kind of resistance. I got the same. I went to Habitat for Humanity and got the same kind of resistance. So I just, and then, that was, since what that didn't work, and I couldn't find any other location. Although that's not to say that I haven't connected with the right person. The idea is to connect with the property owner or an institution. Fortunately, I thought I was going to get somewhere with one of the small towns here. The mayor and I were having lunch and talking about time banking, and he was running for re-election, so I was a good guy. And then after he got elected, he doesn't answer my phone calls anymore. So.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But the bigger ones, they probably have more of a formulaic way that they need to do what they do. But the one-off, independent things, like there's one in our town called New Creation Men's Center. And I know the executive director. I met with him when I was, kind of talking about time banking, and, you know, they don't have anybody there, or at least they didn't before, that could list some of their bigger items on eBay. You know, so if I could say, hey, here's a patch, like, you know, if time bankers come in and we do this for you, I guess the other thing I'm listening for is, you know, is there a way to make it public facing where people can pay in time, or, hey, join the time bank and you can pay in time credits? Or does that just get messy?
No, you didn't read this, did you?
No, like I said,
okay.
This is what the jam is for me. I did not have time to do a dive on this prior to today.
Okay. Before we jump to, I'll answer that, but I want to make a comment about 3 sentences back. You know, churches, school buildings shutting down, churches are shutting down. There is probably in every community a place where a time bank store could be, but the problem is meeting the right individual that could be the link pin and the connector to that location. And it's a full-time job almost to try to find that person, to find that location. So you need somebody in the time bank that will devote their time calling up these institutions, visiting them, paying them time credits to do the research and the networking for that location. It's a lot of work for time. You know, if you're running you know, my question, are you alone, Kathy? I'm alone. I really don't have a team. I do have a team, but they don't know they're on my team. I'll go and ask and you know, hijack somebody into doing something, and then I get it done because I'm probably, you know, I got too much work. But so that's an important tactical thing to do, is to find somebody who will go around the town talking to people and looking for a location. What I do is I bring it up at our meetings, not every meeting, every third meeting. When I send out reports to my board and to my members, I'll say, hey, we're still looking for a location. Anybody know about it? So I try to keep it on the consciousness and the conversation in the time bank.
Right.
Now, to answer your question about, I don't know what, you have to be a time bank member to donate time credits in exchange for an item. So you walk in the store and say, okay, I see this set of dishes. How much is that? So the clerk says, what will you donate in terms of time credit hours to get those dishes? Well, I don't know. Well, look, whatever you donate, that's what the price is. If you want to donate 5 time credits, or if you want to donate 1 time credit, that's the price of a set of dishes. So they do that. Now, if you're not a time bank member, you have to pay federal money. And now you say, well, what will you contribute as a contribution to the time bank in terms of money? $5, $20, whatever you want to donate and contribute, that's the federal money for to walk out of here with that property.
Right.
So that's how that's run.
So the important thing is not to predetermine an amount on these things, because then you are sort of reverse engineering a rate that would be attached to a time credit, and we don't want to do that to keep on the right side of the IRS, right? Okay.
Right. You start going down that road. Eventually, if you keep having the reverse engineering discussion, you're going to build up an argument. Well, this is this much and this is that much, and you don't want to go down that path.
Right. Right. Okay. So I kind of understand that. And, you know, just to answer your question about, you know, you got to be out in the community and everything. I know you don't know me that well because we've never met in person, but that's kind of how I live my life. I am that person that's kind of the social butterfly in the community. Like I'm here, I'm there, I'm in all different circles. I used to be a realtor. I know places. You know, one thing we've been good at is hosting our events at lots of different places. So the reason that I've asked to have this discussion is I've already got a few ideas in mind, and I needed, the story, the template. So I wouldn't have even had this conversation. It wouldn't be top of mind if I didn't have some pieces in place, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Yeah. So anyway, cool. So it sounds like you think it worked a lot better when you had a place. Can you tell me some of the things that you think made the place work well besides, the location, the having the donuts? Like, what kind of hours did you have?
Well, the ladies that came together that volunteered, they determined the hours. So
Okay.
I really, it was driven by the volunteers, and that was one of the principles of organizing it. This is only going to work if you guys do it. I don't want to have anything to do, and I made that very clear. I am not running the Timebank store. You are.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the guidelines. If we have a problem with the guidelines, we'll have a talk and change the guidelines. So they would figure all this out. They would have phone calls with each other. They would meet and figure this stuff out. So that's like, it's just, my God, it was just great, The important things for me, outside of not having to do anything, trying to, one less thing to do, was these things here. We're looking for new or like new items. We want to have pride and an excellent quality inventory. We do not take linens, no clothing and towels, no books, no broken items, no shoes, no electric motors, no gasoline motors, no transmissions, nothing greasy and filthy and dirty. And then here's a nice list of things that they do take. You have to be able to carry it into the store. And you put it, if you bring something to the store, the women that ran the store were retirees. They're in their 60s and 70s. They can't be running out to the car and hauling stuff in the store. If you bring something, you as a contributor to the store, you got to bring it in and set it up on the shelving. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they won't even, the ladies won't open the door. They'll give you hell. What are you doing? We can't take that. Don't leave it at the front door. Mm-hmm. They were very much in charge of being able to handle and deal with the items that came into the store. It was just great. And then we had one lady who got a relationship with Panera. Everybody has a Panera, right? Mm-hmm. So she would get yesterday's Panera at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she'd bring bread from yesterday's Panera bread. And
that's awesome.
She didn't do it every day, but that was a way to fresh produce or bread and bakery things. Mm-hmm. How am I doing? You're
doing great. I mean, and honestly, this is so helpful for me because, and I just want to say right now, sometimes we have a jam and I feel like I'm leading today. I requested Tony to be here because this was on my mind, and I will gladly give you Timebank credits and, for this because, it's just so valuable having somebody to show you where they've been and hopefully, keep you from doing the things that, haven't worked or didn't work, or give you a heads up on what might work better. So if anybody's just joining us midstream, probably should have said this at the beginning, but what we're doing here is something that we've been calling the Co-Thrive Jam session. And I requested this topic. Anybody can request a topic. We're trying to do this every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Central. And you can just go to bit.ly/Co-Thrive Jam. And, hopefully you'll get a sense for how this works. We'll be adding this video to that website here when we're done with it. But I requested this because we're a time bank that's coming up on a year and a half, being a year and a half old. And just yesterday I found out that, Tony, you've been doing what you do for 10 years. Is that right? Your time bank is 10 years old?
Yeah, right.
And have you been the time bank coordinator that whole time?
Yeah, November of '07.
Okay.
So I'm,
Yeah.
so it's almost 10 years this
Yeah.
November.
Yeah. So having somebody, tell you what's happened for them, it's definitely huge. And we both participate on the Time for All conference call with other time bank coordinators. We just had that yesterday, and that's great. But sometimes they've already discussed a topic, or we just want to go deeper when we want to go. And it's not always about time banking. It can really just be about any good idea. And so I think time banking is a good idea. I also think, upcycling, just getting stuff where it needs to be makes sense. And that's just something that kind of haunts me. So stuff that's not food and doesn't have really an expiration date, that challenge to me seems to be having a space for it, just handling. Like I really got into selling on eBay this year. Just personally, I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to get rid of, and I did really well. And so I kind of thought, I wonder if that's a track that we could help Time Bank members with, like teach them eBay skills. And if they wanted to try to declutter, and raise some extra funds for themselves, we've got several members that are great at eBay, so certainly if you need money, let us teach you how to do that. And if you don't have the time for that, or you don't have whatever, the patience, or like I do have one member who said, I have a bunch of stuff that I inherited when, my mother went into assisted living. I have neither the time nor the desire to do that. I would just give them to you, and whatever you get for it, great. We didn't really have a way to share things within the time bank. So in that case, I was trying to sell for her, and then, whatever was raised would go to the time bank. I've also recently started shopping at a place called the Indiana Hope Center, which is kind of like a salvage grocery store. They get stuff that's kind of at expiration. And just on Saturday, I was down there, and, I bought an entire case of salad dressing for like $1. And I'm going to bring that to our member meetup on Saturday. And, even if I just give it away, it was such a great deal. I just want people to have things that are good and a good value. That's just kind of how I roll. I want to make being a Time Bank member have some, cool, or it was like 50 cents for 30 eggs. So guess who has over 100 eggs in her refrigerator right now? So I'm kind of doing this again, really like just intentionally, but not very systematically. It's just like if I see a good deal and I think I could find somebody that needs it, then I kind of take that shot. But it is a lot for me. It would be less work for me, I think, to create a system and find the right people, to run it. And then I actually volunteered myself down on Saturday at the salvage grocery store, because they run completely on, if you do 180 right now, it'll flip all the way. Oh, well, that's okay.
So that's great, Kathy. I'm so delighted to meet you and to work with you. And I want to show you what we're doing is not done very often in the Time Bank movement. I mean, okay. Coordinators working with other coordinators.
And I'd like to change that. or they may, because in the Time for All conference call, they've got a Time Bank, but we don't really know what goes on between them.
Yeah. Right. Well, you are actually, you've got that, there's a mid-level or mid-range step. In my opinion, some of the work that goes on in the movement, we talked about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, is so far advanced that coordinators cannot meet that expertise, that capacity, that know-how that some of the time banks are doing. And then there's the other end where nothing is happening at a time bank. And what you're doing, Kathy, is you've got this middle range. You're working with me, for example, and other time bank coordinators to do things that are possible to achieve. That's not hard. I want to share with you a project that a coordinator is sharing with me, and that I'm I want to share with you, which is called the Lewisham Local. This, if you look at the screen here, this is basically a little wallet card that fits in your wallet. And it's called, the community is in London, it's Lewisham. And if you're a Timebank member, or if you're a volunteer in that town or adjacent towns, you could walk into a store and get 10% off on what's being sold, 20% off. This is from Philippe Granger from the Rushy Green Timebank in London. And so it's a little plastic card. I don't know, we have a grocery store here. You go to this particular grocery store, you get credit for every dollar you purchase towards a discount on gasoline at the gas station out in the parking lot at the grocery store. But what this is using this complementary currency, not for purchases on the federal economy, but for all the non-paid work that goes on in the non-paid economy, which is volunteering and to provide a way to reward and thank volunteers, whether they're Timebank volunteers or just regular volunteers. So I'd love to work with you on that, Kathy. I have one time, maybe two, I just talked to the second one the other day, trying to create a team to replicate what's going on in London. I'm going to show you the website. Let me see. How do I do this? Okay. No, that's not the website. Well, anyhow, it's the Lewisham Local Community Card.
Tony, is it maybe? Oh, no. Okay. Maybe there's a link at the bottom.
Yeah. There we go. Here it is. So, so community organizations join. You can become a member. You can see here, he's got all these organizations that belong to the community card. There's the Timebank right in the middle.
Cool.
And then these are the businesses that belong to the Timebank or to the community card. So that's a project that I think Timebanks can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take some organizing. It's going to take some work, but I love this idea, and that's one idea. I want to talk about another idea talk about sharing projects with each other. Okay, how do I do this?
What do you want to do? And I'll see if I can help. There you go.
Okay, it's called Mahoning. Here we go. I just did this PDF over the last 3 weeks. Can you see it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you want to get together in person with some folks, right?
Did I send this to you?
You've been talking about it for a little while, but yes, I think you did. This one I did look at. Mm-hmm.
What this is about is to create consistent, ongoing, monthly or bi-weekly, or twice a month, open community discussions. And I'm trying to, how can we as individuals support each other, meet face to face? So I'm just noticing something. I need a better way to write this. We're using the World Cafe model to process conversations in the community. And the Timebank is going to be hosting this thing. So,
so can I ask you a question? I mean, when you say get together, I'm near Chicago, Northwest Indiana. You're, you know, in Ohio. We're closer than some people that might end up listening to this, and we're certainly not going to be able to meet, you know, if we met once a year, we'd be doing pretty good. So you're talking about doing this for a regional effort or a local effort?
No, local, very, very, very local.
Very local.
In town.
Okay.
It's a town thing.
Okay, and then how would this be different than your meetup? Do you not invite those types of people to your member meetups? No?
Well, this is different because the design of this is very guideline based, guideline based. Number one is I want a list of co-hosting organizations, institutions, churches, businesses, social service agencies, from 5 to 8, co-hosting, supporting, and as network nodes. Now, you understand what I say when I say a network node. They're going to be the bridges to those audiences, to those members of the networks that they belong to. So when I have had community forums, I'll get a half a dozen people. That's because only the Timebankers do it. And the members do not, when I tell my members to tell your members or tell your networks, the consciousness of the importance of networking and knowing how to relate to each other, to use the leveraging power and the learning and the sharing and the collaboration that can happen when you're organized is not really in the consciousness of the general public. So we need to have a support of the institutions that they will send out this invitation to come to a Mahoning Action meeting, a Mahoning Action conversation, and send that out to all of their members of their network. So I'll get 2 or 3 churches to send that invitation to other churches and to other members of churches, to go to the social service agencies, to send that invitation out to their staff and to the volunteers and to their clients, to go to businesses, to post that invitation. In other words, to market, do a lot of marketing up front before you even have a conversation.
Right.
So well, my first step here is,
you know, I do marketing for a living, right? So I have to ask a probing question here. To what end? Like, why is it so important to have all these organizations represented? What's the end game? What do you want out of it? If all of that goes perfectly and that happens for you, what's the win?
Well, Kathy, it's my feeling that we need to operate an organized society on a different set of values that's different from hierarchical, property-based, materialistic-based thinking and visioning. Mm-hmm. And the only way to get there is to use experiential learning by the participants to get to that new world. So conversation and dialogue is the way to change. It's not going to be done through the government telling us you got to have a participatory society. That is a dictatorial society. It's not going to be done because Tony says it. It has to be done through conversation and dialogue. And in order to make that happen, we have to have forums and spaces, physical spaces and digital spaces where people learn and teach one another and then organize, work on projects. So the Timebank is the key value system with the 5 Timebank values to anchor and guide that transition. So we could talk about transition towns. I really am not involved much with transition towns. I can't get transition towns traction in this community. I have tried. They're not paying any attention and nobody will raise their hand. about joining transition towns here in this valley, but I might be able to get traction. We want to talk about drug abuse. They want to talk about racism. They want to talk about unemployment. They want to talk about, work and jobs in whatever. But what happens is then the people that are already believers in dealing with justice and racism come to that meeting, and those people never talk to the people that are outside of that silo, and they don't learn how to work together and share resources and share knowledge and come together and collaborate. And so the end game here is to have an ongoing process of collaboration rooted in the organic way that this community operates. So how am I doing? I know that's a long Hail Mary pass.
Okay. Well, let me say, I do have to wrap by the end of the hour because I've got a meeting almost immediately after this. But do you have anything else you want to show on screen? If not, I'd love to take control back and at least just tell you something that worked for me. And I don't know what I don't know. So I think sometimes that beginner's mind can be a blessing. There will probably be a point before too long where I'll be like, oh, that didn't work. And, now I'm frustrated and I won't be trying stuff, or who knows. But, what I look at, I'm kind of, are you seeing my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'm really guided by principles of permaculture. Is that something you're at all familiar with?
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. I love it. In fact, the permaculture ideas and concepts are in the World Cafe.
Okay, that's
marketed,
right.
But they're not explicit. They're not explicit.
Okay, so we talked about that sort of on a different time, and I kind of forgot. But
yeah. But how do you get early adopters? See?
Okay, well, that's what I want to say is, like, in permaculture, one of the first principles is just observe, and watch the energy flow. So I can want what I want, like, all day long, but the power comes in just doing, what you can do. And instead of me worrying about the whole community, because if I just have this huge idea and I'm trying, like that equals success and nothing else, I have to start in my, what do they call it, zone zero. Zone zero is me. My zone zero is actually pretty big because I do kind of bounce all around the community. But then, zone one is a little bit further out. So I just look at, the inputs that are right in front of me. I just want to kind of go back and tell you again, like what I'm showing on screen and how that happened. Like we had use, and this is not necessarily ongoing yet, because this was just a one-off meeting on January 28th. But last summer, I had this local organization called the Dunes Learning Center approach me, and they asked me, hey, would you donate a wild edible hike for our fundraiser, our silent auction? And, I get asked to do a lot of things just straight out as volunteer. They're in no way involved with time banking. They don't really have the time to learn about time banking. And I'm just like, okay, time banking is important to me. So I want to say yes. But for me to say yes, we have to do some time bank math on this situation. I'm like, so you're going to get a couple $100, hopefully, that you raise in real dollars for your organization. In return for that, what can your organization offer me energetically so I can feed, value into the time bank? And they're like, oh, well, what's the time bank? They didn't end up joining the time bank. They're federally run. They had all kinds of regulations. But I just looked at what were they willing to give me, and they were willing to give me this, beautiful lodge out in this, Lake Michigan National, park. It's beautiful grounds. They need it most of the year, but there was this one day where they didn't need it, and they let me have it. And so we didn't fill it completely, but we had about 30 people there. And they also have a mission, so I couldn't just have it and do whatever the heck I wanted. They're about, environmental education. So I said, great, I've got a lot of overlap with that. So I came up with the title, naturally innovative green time banking solutions. And so guess what? Some of their staff had to be there because they didn't just give me the keys to this, federally owned building. So they heard, what it was about, even if they weren't actively participating. And then I invited the people that I thought fit that mission. And then we had, again, like about 30 people. So I ended up having 5 round tables. And I didn't know it was called open space or whatever the heck it was called. I was just like, here's the situation I've got in front of me. What would be a good outcome? I think a good outcome would be to have some members, have some people that aren't members, but that just are curious about creating solutions together, because I don't think people want to get it together and just jam about theory. But we put down, huge pieces of paper and markers, and I kind of asked one person to be the captain of that topic. But one table was about, how could time banking work with stuff, just decluttering stuff, getting stuff, out of landfills and, getting it to where it could do the most value. What do we have for that? So we kind of did almost like a mini string game, just on that topic at that table. But everybody could go around and walk to whatever table they wanted. The table that's, mostly featured on this slide, that contained 2 farmers, the person who runs our local food swap, which has been around for 5 years, some just other interested people about community gardening, but one table was about food. And it's like, okay, how could time banking be used with food? Like, what do the people in this room at this table need regarding food, growing it, distributing it, eating it, whatever. And so we did that on those 5 different topics, so
Kathy?
Yeah.
Kathy. Okay, so you had one, I need to, you said you need to go. I get it, but, and what, you had a community conversation, but it was not consistent. It was that one.
Okay,
saying is,
Tony, you've talked the whole time, so I do want to take my time here. What came out of that is I got 2 more organizational members, and we're having a meeting on Saturday at a new host venue that's about the arts, which was one of the topics. So this will be our 2nd meeting that we've had at that venue that arose from having the one back in January. So we have been consistent. We haven't been at that venue, but it's like, start where you are, see who shows up, and then just keep mapping, outward Venn diagram circles, right? So, all 5 of those circles didn't grow, but one of them did.
Yeah, I get it. But with all due respect, I have a social gathering every week, and I have them at different locations.
Mm-hmm.
And my mentor and tells me that she has observed world cafes that when they occur in the same location consistently over time, they happen then into 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. And what happens is it organically moves into networking to other nodes in the network. So you have this relay and rollout of World Cafe practice. And when it's done by an organization, the value system of the organization that's holding the World Cafes, that value system rides the wave. The consciousness and the explicit values are then propagated throughout the network. So pushing the time bank, if the time bank does this, we're going to be able to have this ongoing market relay of community conversations, basically what you have in front of me on this screen, but they're going to happen every month, and they're going to be pushed by not just the time bank, but by institutions in town. So there should be, theoretically, if this advice I'm getting is right, a ratcheting up of, many, many members wanting to join. the
Okay.
early adopters, so
Okay.
to speak, of social
Yeah.
activism will want to join.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but you know, I
Yeah.
hear you. That sounds like a beautiful vision. I'm just about, I love that show Chopped on TV. I love when the chefs just get what they get and they make something beautiful out of it. So I could hope that I've got something great in my basket. I'm going to make a gourmet meal, or I just see what I get and then I make the best that I can. So I think it's great. You know,
Okay.
you have aspirational visions of what it can be, should be, and you've got a template. I am very, very part-time. We're on a different, you know, you're 10 years into it, I'm a year into it. So we've got a different frame of reference. There's no way I could host a meeting, you know, every week right now. So that to me just seems like, phew, you know, other people listening to that, they might be in a different situation, you know. But anyway, I just say work with what you have. And if it's not going, you know, the way that you think it should be, then I guess just follow the energy and see what can be mapped. There's usually something, you know, some, like you said, intermediate step that can be taken now, today. And that's always what I'm after.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, well, I appreciate you, my friend.
Agree.
You've given me a lot of information today, and hopefully it will be shared by others online as well. Any parting thoughts? I've got only about like 3 more minutes and then I really have to get on the other call. I'll be a little late already, but that's okay.
Okay. Bye. Peace and love. Let's do this again sometime.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, you know where to find me. Just, you know, you can sign up anytime, right? On that, if you want to talk about this topic further, you want to suggest another topic. If it's something that you want me to actually promote, you know, share, invite other thought leaders, then probably picking a date that's at least, you know, 2 weeks out would be good. If it's 2 days, I just don't have a lot of time to react. But I'm happy to jam about anything, whether I know about it or not. But if we're actually looking to recruit thought leaders, that might take a little bit of time. So, all right. Well, hey, Tony, you have a great day. And thanks again for all your wisdom and sharing. Take care.
Peace and love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.